This is Jeremiah. Let's get back into the Word of God. We have the rapture again. For those of you who are looking at the monthly videos, these are the monthly videos. This is Jeremiah with New Covenant. We are going to reduce this ministry down. It is the end of the world probably here. It sure looks like it. I don't see any other way. That means that making long-term plans is a waste of time on many levels, such as the MAGA crowd saying we're going to fix America for the next generations. There's no such thing as another generation. If you can't see that, it's like watching the storm clouds come and saying sunshine's coming. You got that? That means that the MAGA crowd, or a lot of people who don't understand their Bible very well, they're biblically mentally retarded. You get a C grade in Bible study, you should know the fig tree parable we just went over in Matthew 24. We also have another Luke reference. We'll get to that later on this year. Jeremiah, you have a lot of work here, huh? You really stay busy, and maybe I should do the same thing. Well, listen, we're going to reduce, as we greet you in the only name given, we're going to reduce our Bible studies probably to 2 a day, 5 days a week. And I'll probably take Saturday and Sunday off from all videoing and so forth, all recording, podcasting, whatever they call this, different things you can call it. It's just a video is what it is. And Jeremiah is on fire. It's getting hot here quick. So I want to get a quick video in, and we're going to look at the rapture, which we're going to look at the rapture every 2 weeks with one video in the monthly playlist. We're in the monthly playlist right now, which is every month we have videos and we bounce around. But when you hit one of the playlists, you'll get a particular category. It's not always a very strict category or subject. However, it is in general a very strict set of biblical principles that fit the category. Okay, now this is the rapture, which goes to 14, caught away, snatched away, and I will spend like about 20 minutes on this, and then we're going to move on. I'll shut this video down. It will be available as a monthly offering. That's a smorgasbord of truth. Okay, you ready to go? And I'm very happy about this ministry right now because we have so many things in stone. It's going to make everything easy. This is the way I wanted this ministry to start a couple of years ago, where everything was already organized, and it's my fault in a way. I should have had all of this ready. And in a way, there's a little bit of shame on me, because watching too much basketball, driving around in circles, listening to jazz periodically or something, you know, it's okay to do a little bit of these things, you know. It's like watching movies. I've screened all of my movies I have. All of my movies are basically G-rated. When I suggest some sort of entertainment for you, if you have the wherewithal, I suggest that you leave basically all entertainment alone. And we're talking about G-rated entertainment, possible PG or something. But when you watch these videos and the stimuli, you need to be rooted and grounded. And that's the same thing I mentioned here, and I'll mention it repeatedly here. We will refer to this, that the secular world is dangerous. And the key is that you must be born again, and you must be oida. That's 21 in this ministry, which is maturity, experienced, altar seasoned, martyreo, a witness, someone who has a testimony. And so that's 21 in this ministry, by the way. That's playlist number 21, where I'll explain what I just said. But the bottom line is, oida basically means that you know the Lord and you have a relative knowledge as to what's going on. So that when you encounter the world does not trip you up. Okay, and I have the incident where a good friend of mine who watched hockey probably too much, and he got invited to a demonic witness barbecue of some sort, and he was so happy and elated about the barbecue, and the people were very nice. I told him that the devil gave you a barbecue. And he was in shock, and he knew that I basically knew what I was talking about. I don't generally talk about Bible principles unless I really know what I'm talking about. If I give you some speculation, I'll let you know it's speculation, conjecture or extrapolations. I'll let you know. But 99% of the time here, unless spoken, everything is eternal truth that will never go. It will never leave. When you go to heaven, wherever you go, all of this word you're reading is not going anywhere. It will be used throughout eternity. The only thing that won't be used is anything dealing with sadness and violence. That's gone. Anything that produces sadness or is violent or lies, you may never hear about it again. Never. But the good things about the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ, and these kinds of things will go on forever. Right? Let's get to, let me finish that quick story. I repeat it quite often, and we have to move on. Listen, let's lift up our hands unto our King and redevote ourselves and revitalize ourselves this morning. This is my morning, and I'm getting up a little late, and we wake up to singing to the Lord, getting work started for the Lord, and give me this day my daily bread. And I even mentioned secular movie things here, because every now and then a secular movie will really speak to us. I watched that Star Battle movie with the Dark Invader. One of the most poignant, extremely significant parts of that movie was not just the dark side, which is very, very well stated. That is a beautifully observed concept in that movie, in those movies, which I don't push those movies because the devil can work at anything basically secular or G-rated that's not Christian, as many of you know. But having said that, disclaimer or whatever, listen, when the Dark Invader knelt down before that very sick-looking guy with the robe on and the hood on, he said, "Master, what is thy bidding?" And that is, without a doubt, one of the most important lines I've ever heard in any movie, and I'm almost 70 years old. And I have a large classic movie collection of black and white movies. That part of the movie, which is some modern, semi-modern movie, not modern necessarily now, but it was for me. We went and saw that movie at the drive-in when drive-ins were still safe and people went to the drive-in in America. Primarily, of course, in the West Coast, where there is no heavy snows and all of this. But when that gentleman said, "What is thy bidding?" that became one of the key moments in the history, in the annals of movie making. By far one of the most significant statements I've ever heard. Because that is essentially what we're doing here. That Dark Invader was a successful servant to his master. Legitimized right in your face. And that's really what most of our Bible study is. For people to wake up every day and do exactly what the Dark Invader did. That's what I have to do here. Now, there have been days and times in my life when I didn't do that, and I wasn't necessarily what you would call an obedient Christian and on the narrow brick road, being a 68-year-old man. Of course, that's probably going to happen. However, what we're talking about right now is success. And we're talking about making sure your salvation. We're talking about, we know you're on the narrow brick road. We can basically see. And we know that this gentleman, by listening to him talk, out of the words of his mouth, the Dark Invader, we know that his heart is black. We know that he is a deceiver and a liar, and he's violent, and he's no good. And he's redevoting himself to the cause of wickedness. Now let's get to the lesson germane, because I wanted to mention that sometimes things that are very, very short in words, in length of discourse are the most important. And if there's anybody who did that, it's the Master. We use the Master here more than anybody, and that's the way it is, because you're hearing it from the horse's mouth. A metaphor. You're hearing it from the one who is in charge of you going to heaven. And that's going to be your best resource. Paul the Apostle is probably your next most important resource, but and that's why we focus on these two writers the most here. No doubt about it. We've decided to insert David and his son, so we have the great-great-grandson, we have the grandfather, and the great-grandfather, and we have them in short order here for this year. Next year we will back off a little bit at the beginning of the year with these three writers, which is the Father, Jesus Christ, and of course two of his children, David and Solomon. Now Isaiah is going to also take precedent here for this year. Okay, now let's get to the rapture. We're going to go through this very quickly in a succinct position here. We're going to squeeze this and get this going. This is the rapture. I'm going to share with you some of the main ideas of the rapture. There are a lot of ideas in the rapture. I've decided to make it about 18 and hold it right there. I will repeat them over and over again for a while. If you want more details on the rapture, all you have to do is click on what? The category 14, the playlist. Okay? Because what we're going to do here is we're going to start having a template or an introduction to a concept, and I'm going to go over the concept introduction repeatedly. If you want any more information, you're going to have to look at the playlist and get into the other videos that support, okay? The underpinnings. What I'm doing now is I'm going through basic ideas of Christianity, and I'm giving you basics, and it's like a template for an introduction to certain concepts. And it's going to be very easy for you to follow along because we only have like 52 plus here. In other words, we will touch on every subject here in the Bible, which is called, you might call the living word. There it is there, and there it is there, the living word. However, most of the time will be spent with vocabulary and contextualization. We're going to let you know what the word means, and we're going to use the text to help you understand. That's what we do here over and over and over again. And there's no reason why anyone who listens should not learn based upon my simple format here. It's a time-consuming format. This is not PhD presentation, dissertation, Bible study here at all. For those of you who want to delve more and to get a little more complicated, or really get into what the word is, expound these ideas, then you can do that. However, I'm going to keep this format very simple for everyone, basically. And if you want more information, you're going to have to click that particular concept, that subject, that playlist, right? That category, and then you can get more information. But the basis of this ministry is to go over the basics of every concept over and over again, so that we hammer home the basics. It's like studying piano or something. We learn the middle C first. We don't, we don't learn Mozart the first day of class. That's generally a waste of time. Unless you're some type of precocious prodigy of some sort, we're wasting our time. I've been teaching a long time, off and on in my life. I taught some basics of how to work with tool crib, identifying tool crib instruments and things in aerospace industry. However, that was not that complicated. It was just 1, 2, 3, 4 through 100. However, I still had to identify things, and I still had to participate a little in some of the math or blueprints on the edge, not too much. I actually came up with some innovations in working with deburring and profilometers and things of this nature. But most of it was rather elementary. So I have a history of teaching people of all ages, and children are just humans that are young. Unless you get an 18-year-old, 17-year-old in high school, which I taught a few of those people, you're going to get children on your hands. But you're going to have adults on your hands also when you teach, but they're very young adults, of course. They are very young, and so forth. Okay? And I just want to mention that again, because pretty soon I'm going to start reading scriptures, saying a few words, and shutting down. That's what this ministry is headed. Right now I'm making a foundation so everyone who's involved can so you don't feel lost. And of course the main reason is so that you can learn rapidly and hold on to what you know. Because we people have a tendency to learn better when they restrict their stimuli to a certain extent. You know, that's why I have 52 plus here. We will refer to them repeatedly so that those who follow along here can learn quickly. You know, you can get this like super snap. Now that's enough administrative, teaching style conversation. Let's get to the rapture itself, okay? Because we're going to get to this quick. It's getting hot quick here today. And I'm going to probably have to shut down. We use fans and things here, and this, I'm not that much for a lot of technology and air conditioning and platform shoes, factory made, modernity is not a big part of my life. I drive an old car, now they're finding out that these wind-powered things aren't doing very much, and electric cars will blow up or something. And in other words, people think that modernity is the only way to go because it's modern, it's new, it's novel or something, and that's not necessarily the case. We Christians, we know the value of having one cow that gives you raw milk here in Indiana, and you know what kind of milk you're getting. Keep the place clean. Have your own chickens, kind of, and not be reliant upon electricity per se. And people laugh at these things until things start going wrong, right? They're talking about shutting down power plants here because they are not green. So that people don't have electricity for certain hours of the day. There's legislation now that's being passed to do that. Because a polar bear is going to die tomorrow or something. This absurd green nonsense. In other words, green terrorism is taking over big time. I'm not going to get into it. I'm not a zealot who gets into politics, but if you have common sense, you can see what's going on here. They gave $700 apiece to the victims in Hawaii here the other day, the government. But the FEMA workers are living in hotels that cost $2,000 a day. Furthermore, they just sent another $50 billion to Zelensky, who is probably a Nazi collaborator. They say he's a Jew, but did you verify that? People say things, but do they really know what they're talking about? And because he might be Jewish, he can't support Nazis? And everything Putin does is wrong? Maybe he was provoked. How do you know that? Let's just see the bomb that he's bombing the people of Ukraine. What did the Ukrainian government do before this happened? Maybe they bombed the Russians. You ever think about that? Now I know history, and that's exactly what they did. That's why the Russians are mad. I know history fairly well. I'm not bozo when it comes to history. Here's my point. The point is that people. Let me give you an example. One more thing about what's going on in the world. We'll get to the rapture here in a moment, because a lot of things are really strange in the world right now. This is not normal times at all. And this is catastrophic, worldwide, freaky deaky stuff right now, and it's making people really, really, you know. You know how many small businesses were killed by you must shut down your business here recently? When they shouldn't have done that. That's not even legal anyway. Emergency legislation. Well, you know what? Well, let's let that go. But yeah, so many small businesses lost their business here during this medical situation that the numbers are staggering. They should have just kept people open for business and let the disease, let the issue of medical situation continue, because people have to eat, they have to live, they have to get out of their house. You know, in spite of there being some sort of a problem medically, people have to get out of their house. You just can't lock people up. There's going to be suicides. There's going to be psychosis. This is horrible what's happening in our world. It's just, we understand the desire for people to want to protect themselves, but it can go too far. That's what happened here, and it's just things that just keep snowballing in this area, which is another reason why we have the rapture here every 2 weeks, to remind you that we're out of here. Okay, let's get to the rapture here. I'm going to go right through the rapture here, because we do this every 2 weeks. Okay, the first item is caught away, snatched from the mesa. This is called the rapture. It's basically sanctified by a great escape. You're in a cloud snatch. And it's quite clear in simple grammar as we look at Corinthians and other scriptures that reveal this rapture. And the second point is separate. You're going to be distanced from and extracted from by the Pantocrator Almighty God. In the twinkling of an eye, you're out of here. You're separated. Sanctification. That's God's will for you, sanctification. You might not think that's God's will for you because you're surrounded by hell on wheels, as my mother used to say. You're surrounded by it, so you don't think about it, but that's what's called faith and vision. You need to have vision. If you start a business and the business is not going well, you need to have patience, and you need to have a vision that the business is going to go well. Otherwise, you're going to lose anyway. It's a win-win proposition, because if the business doesn't succeed, at least you were positive and you were enjoying your life. And there's no way you can win in the business and succeed unless you have confidence in the business. Okay? Now we're confident in the business of getting out of here. We're going to dodge the trapped human beings that are left here for this 7-year period. And the Lord's going to execute this by his power and his authority, and it's irrevocable. You can't change what's getting ready to happen. When the Lord does something, it's over. We just looked at that scripture, one of those scriptures. The Lord has spoken this. That's it. Now we have this execution of this rapture by the top head, high authority. There is no one higher. That's why he's called the highest. And we have beings involved in this rapture. Soul beings, and then we have the shofar is going to announce this. If you hear a horn and you're a Christian, in a millisecond, you're going to be in a cloud forever. And many of your loved ones will probably be with you. We sure hope so. Let's go to the next one, which is Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Eyelash, How I'm Out of Here. Instantaneous transformation and ascension. This is also known as a wedding, and something where two entities who love each other get together. He is coming for those who love him and love his appearing. That's why this is called an apostasy for a lot of people who attend church pews. Is they're not most of them obviously don't love Jesus Christ. They're there because God's giving goodies away in America. I want the goodies, I want earth privileges, and I want earth pleasures. When the point of Christianity, the main point is for you to sometimes enjoy good things God has given you and give thanks for them notwithstanding. However, the key is your chief crown of rejoicing is supposed to be this rapture here. Why? Because you're with the person who you love. And you should want to be with the people who you love. If you don't, then you don't probably love them, and you're just, if you say you love your wife and you're across the street all the time, you're a liar. That's what you are. Because the evidence doesn't point to you loving your wife or your husband or whoever. I love my family. But all you do is hurt them, then you don't love them. You're a liar. Boots on the ground. So only God can do this miracle supreme. This is a huge miracle. This is a God's power that He can do things with the flesh world and the spirit world in a millisecond. You're in the flesh world, then in a millisecond you are in a spiritual world, and you have an absolute new body with you're the same you inside that new body. Woo! That's some mighty, mighty powerful stuff. And number 10 on my list is see ya, bye bye. See ya, wouldn't want to be you. We tried to get you to love Jesus Christ. We pushed you in that direction. We tried to gather you in as a hen takes in her chickies and to get you to get on the ball. You know, to prepare yourself to meet thy maker, and you didn't do it, and you want to party, play around, you're offended at church work, and so forth. You really don't want to go see Sister so-and-so in the hospital, you'd rather take me out to the ball game. So, you know, that's boots on the ground, simple Christianity. That you did indeed love the Lord your God, and we have evidence for that. You have a testimony to support your love of God. Everybody who loves God will have evidence. It doesn't save you, but it's evidence that you love, because you do have to love God. That's required of you. But it doesn't save you. That's why you can only have a few actions of love in the church and still be saved. So bye-bye, wouldn't want to see you. All you liars, cheaters, stealers. You know, let me mention this one more time. Since I'm in America and I'm not hiding an ostrich, I'm not hiding anywhere. I see what's going on. Why would the government give $700 to people who just lost everything, then a guy who nobody knows, a country that we really don't know, and they say they want to protect their borders? Our border is open, and people are crossing it with drugs that are killing thousands of young American teenagers every year. But they don't want to shut that border down. They want to shut Zelensky's border down. If you can't see that mental retardation and demonic powers are in control, then you're blind. That's the devil. When you don't take care of your own family, you're a devil. I'll say it again. When you don't take care of your own family, you are a devil. Do you understand what I just said? And we are being controlled and ruled by a lot of devils. We won't mention any names, but it's quite obvious. Why would you give $700 to a family that just lost all? Then the people you send to help them are in a hotel that costs $2,000 a night. Furthermore, you give $150 billion to this guy who's probably a Nazi collaborator, and you want to keep the war going, where our finances have supported the death of 700,000 people. So the point is that we're not blind here, and we're ready to get out of here, and that's why we're groaning. Paul said we groan, and you can see I'm groaning here. $700? Then you tell them that they can't go back home and all these. This rabbit hole gets deep. Let's get back to the lesson. You wonder why we're looking for the rapture. I'm giving you a lot of reasons why we're looking for the rapture. You should want to get out of here. I just had a delicious breakfast, and I thank God for it. But that's not my chief joy. Let's wrap this up. So you're going where you belong. You're going to a wedding where you belong because you decided to be a person who loves care and you love truth, and you're going to go hang around the God who loves love and loves truth. That's where you belong. And people who love evil and violence or whatever, they're going to go hang around the people who behave just like they do. And why isn't that considered appropriate? I think it's very appropriate. These people who give our tax money to people who might be Nazis and making bombs. And then when people in America need some money, you give them $700, but you give the people who make bombs $150 billion of our money. And you think that I'm a happy camper about all of this, and I don't see what's going on, and I'm like brain dead zombie or something? No, I'm not a brain dead zombie. We have to come back with one more quick video. I wanted one video on the rapture. That's okay. We're getting to the end of the world, and let me share something with you. We're probably at the end of the world. It looks quite obvious. And here's the point. I want to shorten the videos because I don't want too many videos, and I also don't worry too much about too many videos collecting, because any day this is like over. It's like smash is over. Children who are under the age of 18 and so forth are probably going to heaven because they're not accountable for their behavior until they're basically 18. Then those who are over 18 must be accountable for being exposed to the gospel, and if they serve the Lord Jesus Christ, they're out of here. So that's what's getting ready to happen, okay? And I don't want too many videos, even if the rapture is going to happen in next year. I don't want that many videos, okay? I don't want people scrolling too much on my channel. So we're getting ready to shut down a lot here, and we're going to squeeze, okay? And we're not worried too much about squeezing because we don't have time to accumulate that many more videos. It doesn't make any sense if you look at what's going on. Okay? One more quick video as we wrap up the rapture. Okay? Maranatha.